Welcome to Startup Hype. This is your host Tuğçe Özkan. Today we are going to meet Eve Cooper, who is a successful entrepreneur as a professional college counselor. After going through some financially challenging years, Eve completed her bachelor degree in sociology at a later age. She figured she could have done more if she would have the right supporting structure, both for mentorship and financial support. This really drove her to come up with her business idea and become an entrepreneur and be a college counselor. Today we are going to meet Eve to understand about her whole story and get inspired. Let's just do it. Stay inspired.
Stay motivated.
Stay hyped.
This is Startup Hype.
Well, Eve, welcome to Startup Hype channel today. I'm so excited to host you today. It is a pleasure. And again, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. So today we are going to try to, know a little bit about your background. How did you take the initial steps to become an entrepreneur? So all these questions, I'm so curious. I'll start with the first thing. First things first. How did you become an entrepreneur? What was the initial thing that inspired you to take the initial step and, build your own business? Why not working for a corporate life or company, or not staying in academia? How did you come up with this idea?
Well, I figured that I would like to have a little bit more balance in my life, and I figured if I worked for myself, I would be able to control what my workload would be, and that I would be able to pick and choose my clients. I come from working as a high school counselor, and there's all the caseload and the politics and funding issues that come up in working in a public school. I've also worked in a private sector, and that has been interesting as well, but there's still parameters that you have to meet on a daily basis and people having expectations. And so I figured if I stayed with that system, it wouldn't really change and fit the needs that I had, that I noticed I needed to make changes.
So you started as a high school counselor, but then you switched to a college counselor, right? So this is what you're doing right now.
Right. So I started after getting a master's in counseling, working in a high school, and was with that high school for 14 years. Then went and got the master's additional credential for the college counseling through UC Berkeley, and switched over to having that opportunity. And with that, I started working at a private school and did the school counseling and college counseling.
And your degree is in sociology. How did you even become a counselor? How did this idea come up?
So in order to be a counselor, you have to have a bachelor's in behavioral sciences, and I always enjoyed psychology and sociology. I'm a people person, and I love watching people, so that was an easy decision. So that was fine. I love watching people.
Yeah.
So I studied the sociology and psychology, and then started the master's in counseling and got the school counseling credential, which is required to work in a school setting, but I also got the marriage and family credential as well. And that was really important to me to get to understand the whole student. So once I completed that and then started with the high schools, I also saw that I didn't have an opportunity to do the full service by providing college counseling just because our caseloads didn't allow it. So it was something I wanted to be more involved in, but we just didn't have the time for it in the public school setting.
Interesting. I'm actually pretty familiar with the business model because I don't know if I mentioned about this, but I'm from Turkey, and the way that I came to the United States was through my education. So I came to the United States as a grad school student, and basically when I was applying for colleges and stuff, and all my friends, people were applying for top grad schools in the United States, and it's obviously so competitive, right? You gotta know how to write the statement of purpose, application process, and things like that. So many of my friends, they got professional help from college counselor, and it turned into a really good investment. I mean, they got a professional help, and they were successful to get in this nice spots in the good schools. So like I'm pretty familiar with the business model, and I think it's a smart way to work with that, right? So like what does Eve Cooper Consulting do? Do you provide this kind of a consultancy, or like what kind of services do you provide for your clients, basically?
It's a whole range, and it can be working with someone as young as ninth grade, so someone working with someone that's doing a career transition, and that can be finding out what they want to do, what kind of professions they would be interested in, because often a young person has no idea, and they've had very limited exposure to what careers are available or what to even study. So there's a whole long process of learning about themselves and teaching them how to research and finding out more about professions and what they want to study. So that starts really early. It's an opportunity for them to have informational interviews, job shadowing, developing an internship opportunity, and then on to figuring out which schools are the best and how to ask for what you need, and finding in the schools that are the right fit, which is the biggest part of my job, is finding the right school, what they want to study, and so that they are matched to something that they are in love with, that they want to make that commitment to. So then it can also be working with someone that's an older adult that has not either not finished college, hadn't had a chance to, or has decided to go on and add a master's or a doctorate. And that is an extraordinary experience, and getting to be a part of the college selection, doing the research as well at a higher level, and then of course writing the applications and the essays, and really teasing out how to take advantage of that opportunity to represent yourself in the best light, to be a good fit.
It sounds like you're working with a lot of young people. Is it harder to work with these high schoolers or their parents? Because it sounds like parents are involved a lot.
Oh, that's a funny one. So I have some very independent students that cannot wait to get on my calendar. They have done all their homework. They've done all the research. I give everyone an assignment, and I hope that they will have it done. It's to their benefit. But then I also have the kids that either forget or don't do the homework, or so then I have the whole super involved and the ones that you're having to peel off the couch, that kind of visual. So it just depends. And then I do have some parents that are overly involved, and I'm disappointed in the parent because it's really not helping the student. How are they going to be autonomous, decision-making, independent young people that are prepared to go off
their future,
unless mom's coming with you, then that's not really helping them.
They should be empowered to make decisions about
themselves.
Yeah.
And if you can't manage being on time to a meeting or doing an assignment, then maybe you might want to do something else for a year and then rethink about it. So I think that's a real learning curve for some of the parents. I often have parents that want to get overly involved in the essays, and having been a reader for Berkeley, I know when a parent has meddled in their essays, and I remind parents to stop editing the students' essays because they lose their authenticity. It's obviously the parents' writing.
No, you can't tell probably.
So, parents can be
overly involved sometimes. Nice way to say it.
I have one mom that's been in every single meeting, and it's like, okay, that's her choice, but I feel for the kiddo because he needs to have some independence. So.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I did think about my time, like my parents were like pretty disconnected from the process because I was like leading the whole thing. I didn't want anyone else to, involve. Like, it was just me and my decisions and what I want to do. But I guess like some people may need more guidance, maybe depending on personality.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It can depend. And I've worked with all different kinds of kids from all different backgrounds. And, I love the kids that are just so self-motivated. They are going to get the most benefit out of spending that time with me.
Obviously, yes,
Yeah.
yes. How do you reach out to these people? I mean, how do you build your client profile? Like, do they just hear about you or?
It's been a network of amazing connections. I have built the most wonderful relationship with my classmates from UC Berkeley when we took the program together, the college counseling program. We meet every month. We travel to visit colleges together. And we bounce ideas off of each other all the time. I come from a school counseling background, so they ask me questions or about special ed or something like that. And then there's another friend in the group, and she knows everything about the performing art colleges. So we all network together and refer each other. I've also had parents and students refer.
Exactly.
So word of mouth is always wonderful.
Yep.
So, and also my background of being a local high school counselor has been wonderful. I know a lot of the families in my community that have referred me or asked me, or my past students have even come to me and asked when they were ready to go back to college. So yeah, it's really networking. It is a lot. My website has been helpful. I've gotten good feedback from that, and seems to reach out well. But I think my biggest draw is word of mouth.
Yeah. I think networking is the key for every business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you have specifically your own, business, networking is the key for more business.
Absolutely.
I mean, even if you are in corporate life, still networking makes a big difference for your next steps in the career, within the same company.
Absolutely.
So that's the key.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that brings up that I have appreciated the people that I have gotten to know in other professions, because it's given me an opportunity to get internships for my students.
Exactly.
That's an exact model of how networking pays off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do you measure the success of your business? Like, what is the, criteria? Is this applications or admission rates?
I don't go by the numbers per se.
Yep.
My biggest measuring stick is December of their freshman year. When I check in with them after they've gone off to their first semester of college, asking them how it's going. Is it a good fit? Do you like it there? What's working? What's not working?
Yep.
If we've done our homework correctly, they're happy there.
Yep.
That's really the biggest one. And then, of course, the networking of feedback from other parents and students. If they send me more students or younger siblings, then I know I've done a great job. So that, to me, is more important than anything, because word of mouth of how successful something has gone, how approachable I am, how good of a listener I am, how open-minded or responsive, those types of things. Those are the things the parents want, and that's what I really have to pay attention to.
Makes sense. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And you mentioned when we met that you had some, challenging years in the past, like you went through some, demanding years, and then basically you overcame, right? Financially, as well as like lack of mentorship. So you thought that you could have done more if you would have the right supporting structure. What does it mean for you today, all this experience from the past? Like, do you leverage this experience for your business? How does it impact you and your business today? Does it make you stronger?
It's interesting. It does make me stronger, but in a more of a unique way. I don't think I am one of those power crazy kind of go-getters. I think it just has given me a broader experience than a lot of people have had. I come from just a challenging childhood and young adulthood, and having to be independent and no economic or familial support to go to college. So it just took me a lot longer, a lot more restarts, took me a long, long time. But I think it gives me a lot more compassion for people that have had learning challenges, emotional setbacks, or had to overcome something, whether it's a learning disability, whatever it may be. I think I have more compassion just because I came from the challenge. I mean, everyone has their challenges, and it's not like mine are worse or better than others. I just think I'm very aware, and that I can be a good person to go to when things are more complicated than for some people.
Maybe that drew you to have your degree in sociology, you
Yeah.
know, like because you want to understand other people as well. You're more people person. All this background help you to develop this kind of you, and you become you basically.
Right. And you know, it also I volunteer quite a bit. I do college counseling for a number of nonprofits, and these are people that are striving to make a difference and to change and improve their lives. And so these are people I connect with in so many ways that may be doing it by themselves. They're first generation. They have parents that do not have any idea what our educational systems are like. They don't have the financial means. And most of these kids are having to do it by themselves, which is what I align with.
Yeah.
I had to do it by myself. So I think that motivates and inspires me in a different level than some people may have. There is a wonderful network of college counselors that volunteer and sponsor kids and opportunities and enrich other people's lives. And I just love being with a group of people that have that commitment.
Obviously, you know, that sounds really good actually. That's inspiring, I would
good.
say. Yeah. What about the scaling up the business kind of a thing? Because you own your own business for the number of years now. Have you done something actively to, you know, did you try to scale up your business? Do you put some active effort in this? If so, like what kind of message would you like to give to the people who own their own business and who wants to grow their business?
Absolutely. So for me, my husband was super supportive. The caveat, however, was that I still work while taking on this new challenge of starting my own business. And it was scary, and it was a lot of work, and it took an immense amount of energy. But I didn't give up. What I did was I still was a school counselor, and I just took on 4 or 5 students and would work with those kids each year. So some of them were through my pro bono projects and some were paid. And so as I got more and more familiar with the products that support school counseling and college counseling to work together, I could kind of streamline my both jobs. So I would try and be more efficient as my school counseling position. And then as my college counselor opportunity arose, I would spend my evenings doing that. And yes, it was long, long days, but when you're willing to do something different, then you can get some outcome.
It's worth
But
it.
I would never have taken the risk without having a job already, but it just means you have to work harder.
You know, I think this is the best way because then you kind of reduce the risk. You still have your income, you still have a day-to-day job, but you try something new. You see if it's gonna work out, if it is good for you, if you can handle the stress and all the challenges that comes together with this new business model. And then slowly you transition that to as a part-time job instead of just cutting what you do today and just do something.
I couldn't afford to do that,
Yeah.
and most people can't.
Can't.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I did was each year I just would add more students.
Yep.
And then last year I got so many referrals that I was bogged down. I couldn't really manage the school counseling and the college counseling without going totally crazy.
Yep.
So this year I just decided I was going to take the risk. And it was actually very sweet. I have women entrepreneur friends, and they had such confidence in me that they wanted to give me a small business loan even to bridge me. I mean, I didn't need to do that, but I mean, that was so sweet that it felt so important to me that people trusted my skill and my business acumen. It's like, oh my gosh, it just was amazing. Such a compliment. So I just took the risk.
Yeah.
You know, we've managed to save enough money so that I could take that risk. It's also a time where people are using college counselors more and more. And it's becoming so
new trend
competitive,
now.
and
Exactly.
it's so competitive getting into the UCs,
Yeah.
private schools. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a huge market for college
Exactly.
counselors.
It's competitive.
So I took it last year. I had 10 college counseling clients and school counseling. It was insane. So this past March, I decided I would leave the high school and go purely college counseling.
Counselor.
That's
So,
it.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
no, it
it.
makes sense. You know, this transition always is hard. You know, like doing your day-to-day job and trying something new. It's never easy. It's additional work. Obviously, you need to put a lot of additional effort, long hours, long nights. It sounds like it.
Sleepless nights.
But like with that, what kind of a message do you want to give to entrepreneurs who wants to be an entrepreneur but who didn't take the initial step due to different reasons? That may be one of the reasons, you know, they don't want to lose their regular income, day-to-day job because people cannot afford it.
Then you're not taking advantage of something that you really want to do. If you take the risk or find someone that can mentor you or join professional organizations where you can learn more about the profession, go for it. What have you got to lose? As long as you're keeping up with your old job, you can always go back.
You can, yeah. No, totally. Nothing to lose, huh?
What have you got to lose? And if you don't like the system and the program that you're in, it's up to each of us to make that choice, whether we're going to change it or not.
Well, Eve, that was a great message. I like it. I'll keep it in mind.
If you don't like it, then you got to do something different.
Yeah, you have to try, right?
Yeah.
Eve, thank you so much for being here today. That was amazing to hear your personal experience, and thanks for sharing everything. I got inspired, and I hope everyone who is watching this video has been inspired. Thanks for watching us today. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel, smash that like button, comments down below so we can get back to you. Most importantly, don't forget to stay inspired, stay motivated, stay hyped. This is Startup Hype. See you next time.